What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to the Uncommon Mindset podcast. Today, I'm joined by a very, very special guest. Today, I'm joined by Mitch Chilson. I'll just give you a little introduction on who Mitch is. Mitch is a mixed martial artist. He's a Muay Thai champion, and he's the voice of One Championships. It's such an honor to be joined by you today, Mitch.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on. I'm excited for the interview today and excited to meet you.
No, of course, no. So just to start off with, I just want to ask how you're doing. How's life? You're in Singapore at the moment, is that correct?
Yeah, I just moved out here. Well, not just, I guess it's almost been 2 years now. I was in the Philippines before, and one wanted to move me here to do the shows full time. And so I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. And I've been here for 2 years, getting through this pandemic like everybody else. I had to leave my now wife and my cat in the Philippines, and it took a year to get them here through all the chaos that was happening around the world. We finally got them here about 9-10 months ago, and now we're adjusting to life here in the beautiful Singapore.
Amazing. I'd love to go there. I've never been, so sounds
It's
amazing.
the city of the future. It's really the city of the future, right? There's no crime, super clean, super modern. Everything is beautiful and brand new. The people are great. The food is some of the best in the region. It's a great place.
No, it's definitely on the list to come out and watch One Championships out there as well, especially. That'd be incredible.
Oh, yeah, we'll take care of you. It's like a rock concert meets the Super Bowl. It's like that type of event every single time. So it's going to be fun. So definitely try to get out here for one.
Yeah, for sure. We'll touch more on One Championships, but I do want to take it a bit back because I know you've been involved in, mixed martial arts basically all your life, right? You started when you were 4 doing karate. So yeah, just talk to me about that. Like when did you actually get involved in mixed martial arts itself, and how did that process look like for you?
Well, ever since I was a little kid, like I've always done martial arts. I've always done something. Like there's been a few years here and there, like college and some parts of school where I took a year off or something. But I started with a lot of the Japanese stuff. Like you said, I was like 4. My mom brought me to karate, and then she tried judo, and then she tried kendo. And then after kendo, I was like 18. I did about a decade's worth of kendo, the Japanese fencing. And after that, I was kind of like, I wanted to try like kickboxing, right? And so I went to a Chinese kickboxing school, a kung fu school in Seattle, Washington. And Seattle, Washington is very famous for its kung fu because obviously Bruce Lee. And there was a lineage there, and I found some guys, and like we just did horse stance punches for years, right? And it was not what I was looking for. And so then I tried Muay Thai. And because a lot of that influence came from Jean-Claude Van Damme, right? And JCVD was like my idol growing up. Like he was buff, he was smooth, he was like, I loved his kicks and his style, everything from blood sport to kickboxer. I was really influenced. A lot of people were influenced by Bruce Lee, but I didn't really vibe with the Kung Fu thing. Because it was like almost traditional, like I grew up doing, right? The strict forms and everything. So I liked Muay Thai. And then I started doing Muay Thai all over Seattle and into San Francisco. But before I went to San Francisco and started competing, I was actually in Matt Hume's gym, AMC Pancration, in like 2001. So that was my first time ever seeing like mixed martial arts, right? Like Josh Barnett, Maurice Smith, Matt Hume, Aaron Riley, all these guys were in one gym, and it was wild to walk in there and see them working out. And I kind of did a little bit of BJJ, didn't really like it. I was getting choked and armed. I was like, oh, this is rough, right? Like most kickboxers, I was like, I'm going back and I want to learn traditional Muay Thai because AMC also had Muay Thai classes as well. And then I moved to San Francisco and I started competing. And one day, one of the top executives of my company at a conference in California told me, he was like, you would love Singapore. You should go to Singapore. So I was like, I was like, let's give it a try. I thought it was close to Thailand. So I thought the martial arts influence would be really strong in Singapore. So I was like, they've got to have some underground Sanda stuff. There's got to be all sorts of Muay Thai schools. And that was in 2005. And I moved to Singapore to work for this health club chain. And there was nothing. Like I had to spend an hour and a half on a bus to go to the other side of the island to get a Muay Thai school. But then, like I fought a couple of times. It was like I was digging it, right? I was falling in love with Muay Thai and the culture behind it. And then I met Chatri Sityodtong, and Chatri Sityodtong changed the game in Southeast Asia for martial arts, and that was the explosion of MMA and Muay Thai. I got to go to Thailand. I fought for a belt. I lost the match. My mom was there. It was terrible. And then I started competing in mixed martial arts because ESPN came to Singapore and Evolve and gave me a shot at mixed martial arts. And I fought for 2 super fight belts. And that led into 1 championship. And I'll tell you what, it's just been a crazy ride the past, 17 years now of martial arts, and, just trying to get a little bit better every single day.
That's incredible. Yeah. And you mentioned you started off with, Muay Thai. I'm guessing that obviously back in the day as well, the pay wasn't that great, right? So what was it like when you were telling people that I want to do Muay Thai, that's the career I want to go towards? Did they have any doubt?
I don't know if it was a career, right? Like I didn't do it for money. A lot of my Muay Thai fights in the beginning, like my first pro fight was in Singapore, and I think I was like, I wasn't paid anything. Like I don't think so it wasn't pro, right? It was like a pro event, but I wasn't paid anything. And then I went to Thailand, and then like all before, like in San Francisco and Seattle, those were smokers, right? And tournaments, so they weren't something where I could get paid for it. And then in like Thailand, I gave my money that I won back to the coaches. Like it wasn't for me. I wanted the experience. The first time I actually got paid for it was in 2000 and I want to say 10, right? Because I was a trainer. Like I was a personal trainer that transformed himself into a professional fighter. That was my thing. And personal training and teaching people around the world fitness was how I paid my way through stuff. But the idea of making money as a professional never really crossed my mind, because I always thought I just did martial arts because of a sport, right? And my occupation was to be a coach. And that's what I've been doing since 1999, is coaching people. I was my first client. Like my mom says that we used to make an investment in me because we were the first client, like studying nutrition and therapy and, sports science and how we could maximize my body, because I wasn't like a strong, talented kid. I tried to work really hard to become that image of Jean-Claude Van Damme that I had in my head, and that the body, the charisma, just the swagger of a professional fighter. So that's how it kind of happened. It wasn't like anything that I planned to do. I'm still a coach at heart. I just have the coolest job in the world now.
That's incredible. Yeah, it's amazing that you love the sport so much. That's amazing. Yeah, because I love it. I love it myself. I train out of Draig. It's my team.
Where's this? What city is this in?
It's in Swansea in Wales. So you might have heard my head coach in BJJ. His name's Ash Williams. He's actually fought Cade Rutolo. He's in ADCC, so he's going to be fighting in Vegas, which is exciting. Yeah. So we're trying to get him on to one soon.
Yeah, we just started the grappling.
I know, so much is going on.
It's a whole new level. I think we're going to bring to the grappling game, man. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I want to touch on that as well. Obviously you mentioned you met Chatri, when you were in Singapore. What was that like? And like, was one championships a thing then, or did it start as you met him?
Well, one championship was, I think, his brainchild. Like he, he started Evolve. He was like, I met him, and his BJJ coach was my BJJ coach. And then Setsuma was his name. He was like the only purple belt. Like there was only like 2 purple belts in all of Singapore back then, right?
Yeah.
And we trained together a couple of times, and he was like, I want to see this fitness thing that you're doing. And I took him through a fitness workout, and he was like, okay, I want to bring you to my gym to help me start this thing. I'm going to bring all the world champions here with world-class facilities, and I'm going to start something here in this area. And I was like, oh, this guy's talking so big, I was like, there's no way. Dude, the next week we were on a plane meeting Sid Yotong, Kru Yodtong Senanan, the grandmaster of Muay Thai, was like watching me hit pads. And I'm like, this is crazy. At the height of Sid Yotong's like fame, it was, and he watching me hit pads, and he was like, there is something special about you. And I was like, I didn't have any fights, but I didn't have any like pro anything, right? Like a little bit of pro Muay Thai, lots of experience striking. And it just like, he believed in me, and Chatri was there. And, then we started bringing coaches back to Singapore, and I started fighting in Thailand. And, Chatri had this vision of what everything that he wanted to do. And I mean, through sheer determination and hard work, he built an industry in this area, and there was nothing. And it started as just Evolve, where a bunch of the world's best martial artists got together in Muay Thai and BJJ. And then he kind of mushed them together, and we started teaching classes. And then ESPN's Martial Combat said they wanted to bring mixed martial arts to Singapore, and we were the top team that they looked at, right? Because we had about a year. I fought a bunch, and they were like, we're going to stick you in the main event. And I was like, okay. 2 weeks before the fight, I was like, this is a title fight, right? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, that's 5 rounds, right? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh no. I was like, I'm not, oh, crazy. 25 minutes. That's wild. And then Martial Combat kept going, and then it's morphed into one championship. After Martial Combat fell apart, one championship exploded onto the scene, and it's been the juggernaut that it has been ever since.
Yeah, no, it's definitely changed the whole game of MMA, like mixed martial arts. I think it's the most viewed mixed martial arts organization, right? One championship, if I'm correct.
Like our views are like more than F1. Like we've got so like billions and billions of organic views across so many different platforms. And I'm really just so, surprised at the explosive growth over the past 11 years of One. And I think we're positioned at a time right now where things can really start moving. This Amazon Prime thing is going to be wild. One on Prime Video is going to be a game changer to introduce this brand of martial arts to the world. I was typing a post yesterday, and I called it sophisticated violence. And I thought that was a great term to describe what we've got. And I'm really pumped.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, 100%. I can't wait to watch the One Championships 160 and 161 as well, because the fighters on there, incredible, amazing. I can't wait to watch that. But let's just bring it back to yourself now, Mitch. Because obviously, I want to do a podcast on yourself as well. But talk to me about how you got involved in commentary. I know that you were just asked one day, right, if you want to just jump on. And then it went from there, is it?
Yeah, it was Martial Combat. And like it was in between fights. I was injured. I pulled out of one, and they were like, instead of fighting. Why don't you commentate this fight, this event?" And I was like, "Sure." And it was terrible, bro. It was, man, I was so bad, you know. But that was martial combat. And then a few years went by. I was still competing. I was focused on, you know, fighting, and then won championship. And then in 2015, they asked me to do it again. And I've been involved in lots of other stuff, like lots of other TV and media. So I was a little bit more ready. But then the first time I did it, I was so nervous, the press con, because in my head, I'm still just an MMA fan. Like, I still just really enjoy these guys, watching them as a fan. And I'm just like an insider fan, you know, with really good seats, right? So the one championship gave me another shot, you know, and I got so much better because of all the other media that I was doing. And then I also started practicing too. And I think being able to speak and to commentate what you're seeing is a huge thing. And then also to make it understandable and digestible for people, the viewer, to sort of understand what's happening. Because, man, when you start putting together grappling, kickboxing, Muay Thai, all together into one beautiful art form, it's a lot of times it can get lost, especially when things hit the ground where people don't really know what's happening. And then I just kept working at explaining what was happening on TV for people. And, man, one kept giving me a shot, and I got better and better at it. I did all their little shows like Hero Series and Warrior Series. And, you know, man, it's just, I'm really, like, lucky to be in the right place at the right time, where everything kind of came together. They say that luck is just when opportunity meets preparation, right? So I have to prepare a lot, because the color commentator in mixed martial arts is usually a Hall of Famer, right? Like Rich Franklin, that guy, he's the commentator. I'm just a guy that's truly in love with the sport. And I got to do it, right, because I loved it so much. And I trained my body to be able to perform in that manner. So it's kind of just that situation where if you know you want to do something, you want to try it, and it's something you think about every day, you got to work your tail off, you know, to get to where you want to be, you know. And that was, you know, just the situation I was in.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's great to actually, you probably get, you know, told this a lot. You're easy to listen to. It's something about your voice. It's just so easy to listen to, you know, so that's amazing. It's good to have you on the One Championships commentary for sure. But regarding mixed martial arts then, so I'm guessing you're not competing at the moment. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, I haven't competed since 2013. But I would love to do something again. I think that I still got, you know, it's something I think about every day, right? I train every day. I'm working out all the time. I get to, you know, work out with a lot of these guys, right? So I kind of see where I am ability wise, right? Like it's always like a little test, like it's a measuring stick. And a lot of it has to do with my commentary. Like yesterday, I got to roll with Thales Nakasu, who is kicking off the 160 card, right? I had a little interview with him. I wanted to get to know him. And that's cool, right? Because I can call him up and be like, "Hey, bro, can we work out?" You know? So that's one of the advantages that I have, right? And to be able to feel these guys, it kind of gives me an idea of where I am, right? And I'm not so bad. I'm like, man, maybe I could do this again. But again, it gives me an idea of where I am, you know, when I get to do that. So I'm never out, I'm ruling out a comeback. I don't know what it would be in. I would like to try to compete because I like the process of competition, right? Where you have the end goal, right? On, you know, December 3rd, you know, 2022, I have to be in the best condition of my life, right? For one particular moment in time. And the preparation up to that is unlike anything I've ever done, right? And then to get your hand raised after a victory, that sort of goal, like whether it's starting a business, running a marathon, you know, performing up on stage, whatever it is, that type of, milestone victory is something that I need. Like I like the show, right? The show that's coming up, I get to prepare for one specific time. So I would love to do it again, man. I would love to throw my hat back in there one more time and see where I am at 44. I'm just right now I'm focused on like eliminating pain, right? I want to try to be in as good a shape as possible. And like all the injuries, bruh, like, I could tell you some stories about some of the things that have gone wrong, that I've slowly been able to try to repair. So that's what my fitness system kind of became, right? It started as preparing me to be a fighter. And now I'm trying to heal all the damage that I did in that process. So, but I'm not ruling anything out, and I would love to compete one more time, whether it was a BJJ tournament, a charity boxing match, Muay Thai in Thailand, or the big stage, which is getting back into the circle and dancing one more time.
Wow, that'd be incredible. Amazing. Yeah, no, it's definitely like you mentioned, the journey is so important, and like the journey is more important than the outcome in a way. I hear a lot of successful people say that, like Inky Johnson and Muhammad Ali and all those people. They always said that the journey was the most important part of the of getting success at the end. But yeah, no, that's amazing. You mentioned there about your goals as well, so let's touch on that a little bit. Have you got any long-term goals at all?
Yeah. Back in the Philippines, I had a facility, right? Like me and my wife, now my wife, back then she was my girlfriend, we traveled the world and we studied gyms and coffee shops and restaurants. And that's kind of like my big thing, right? This fitness system that helped me become a professional fighter. We traveled the world and we saw different things, different aspects of different facilities that we really liked. And we had this idea to come back to the Philippines and to create what we had in mind, right? And I built a strength and conditioning center with a coffee shop attached to it. And it was a high performance coffee shop. And it was my own little studio, right? And so I got a taste of what it's like to have my own thing. I was still doing one and going back and forth between the two. But I really want a facility where I can teach and educate. I want to be involved in inner city programs where I work with youths in mixed martial arts and fitness, because there's the way that martial arts and fitness can transform you into whatever you had in your head. Like I always had this vision in my head of what I could look like and what I could get to and what I could accomplish. And so I spent even though like the vision of what I saw in the mirror was nothing like that. It was nowhere close, right? But I had this thing in my head when I was a kid, in my teens, in my 20s, of what I wanted to look and do and feel like. And I just kept chasing that over and over and over again. And if you have that vision in your head, some people never get to realize what they're capable of. Some people never get to take those steps to really maximize their potential. And I think that's a lot of what your podcast is about. It's about that mindset, right? That discipline to go after something. And I always dreamt of doing something spectacular. And it wasn't until like I came to, Asia and really took that chance to make the most of what I thought was potential, So, yeah.
No, yeah, incredible. Obviously, life, there's ups and downs in life. When you're going through something like a tough situation or even a loss, of a fight or anything in life, how do you bounce back? Is there anything that you do specifically to bounce back in situations like that?
Well, like you said, right? Like you have these, like you asked me what my goals were and what I wanted to do. And then, losing my gym, the loss to, like my last fight was nasty, man. Like I just, like it was like to deal with that and to have that be my last memory, is kind of something I want to get back. I want to have that victory moment to kind of cap off the career. But when to deal with disappointment and to deal with failure is it's a mindset, like a lot of your listeners are going to be like 30 years old, right? And they don't know what they want to do. And they see everything on social media and they don't know where they want to get to and they feel lost. But failure is just learning. It's like that way didn't work, right? And when I dealt with losses and fights, that was hard because that stung you. Like that was your art. That was your expression of, your soul, right? And then to lose, and whether it's bad or humiliating or whatever it is, you have to learn about what you did wrong. With my business, it was similar, right? Like I didn't have a way to pivot to the pandemic, right? And like I waited too long. I wasn't quick thinking enough. But now I know, now I learned what I need to do next time. I need to have an online version available so instantaneously the community can transfer to it. They're just lessons, right? And the older I get and the more failures I have, even if it's like something small where I say the wrong thing on stage, I have to take that. And instead of being depressed about it and sad, I messed up. Oh man, what am I going to do? I'm humiliated myself on TV again. You have to look at yourself objectively and go, what did go wrong? How can I make it better the next time? And you just have to make sure you try again. If it's something you really want. If it's not something you want, then maybe it wasn't for you, right? Maybe you should go after that thing that really makes your soul sing, So it's a tough question because, a lot of times people don't have the right mental approach to failure and loss. And it eats away at their head, So learning how to control your mind is one of the most important things I try to do on a daily basis, because your mind dictates everything, like how you feel, how you react, how you perform. It's all up here, and being able to control this guy is one of those secrets to taking failure as a learning experience.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I hear the thing someone said, he said that the mind is the only thing we can really control. We can't control the weather, we can't control our own health in a way, we can't control a lot of things, but the only thing we can really control is our mind. So yeah, what you touched on there is incredible. Yeah, no, thank you so much, Mitch. So just, I know that you're a busy guy as well. Just one more question now before I let you go. If there was, an advice that you could give your younger self, what advice would that be?
That's a good question. Like what I would have to say that, dude, you can't be so concerned with what other people think.
Yeah.
You've got to chase, you got to chase that version of yourself that you can reach, right? Like I might not be able to play in the NBA. If I made that point, right, there might be no chance, right, that I would be able to play in the NBA. But I could play in maybe like a Canadian league somewhere or in a Filipino league, right? And I could work really hard and make basketball my life, and maybe I could do that, right? Or I could coach. Maybe I could coach a high school team. But to not care about what other people think of you and to try to just focus on yourself and your everyday actions to get better in your chosen thing. Even if you don't know what that chosen thing is, you can focus on being a better person, right? Like you can learn new skills, you can develop yourself, you can read. I wish I would have focused inward instead of being so concerned with what everybody thought of me. And I think that slowed me down a lot, not wanting to do something because of the reaction I might get, right? And I was never surrounded by a lot of people that said you can't do something, right? Like that was lucky about me. My mom, my sister, even my wife now, like anything I say, I want to, they're like, I want to be on TV. I want to be in movies. I want to fight. I want to, do a triathlon. Rarely do people say now you can't do something. No, that's never going to work. You're never going to be able to make it. If you go to Hollywood, it's going to be, a mess because the competition's so much. And surrounding yourself with people that support you is one of the biggest things, right? So to give you a nutshell of what that is, it's, man, you got to focus on you, and don't get caught up with, the haters or people telling you can't do something, or even your friends that are negative to you and they're trying to pull you down to their level. You've got to chase your vision and what you want with every single bit of your being, and really try to reach your full potential. And most people know what they're supposed to do, right? Like you shouldn't eat that, you should exercise, you should read a book, you should study this, you should treat people this way. And internally, we have very good decision-making skills on what we should do. So that's kind of what it was, like I wish I would have gone after things and not been so in my head about it. Same thing we kind of said before, we get too deep into our heads and not really do what we know we should, so long answer to a short question, but that's kind of it, man. It's just everything's going to be okay, man. Don't worry so much about it. Don't worry about people, and the people that really love and care about you, they're going to have your back. They're going to ultimately support you, and you might have to go a different way, and sometimes you might have to chase your own thing rather than their thing. But if that's advice I could give to my younger self, I would be like, keep studying jujitsu. Don't give it up so quick. But I think everything that I've done in my past has led me to this. So very few regrets and things that I would change. So.
That's incredible. No, thank you so much, Mitch. Honestly, I feel like I know that motivation is not really, a thing. It is in a way, but I feel motivated to just go out there and just smash it right now. I want to go to the gym and just start lifting weights. You got me hyped up.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like motivation comes and goes. It's not something we always have. So you have to find things that motivate you, right? It's like you get to talk to some cool people. Patty Pimblett, that's awesome, right? You get to speak to these incredible individuals. So Murat gets hit with this constant dose of motivation, right? So whether it's reading, whether it's finding motivational, things on YouTube, or finding great people to be around, that's the best. Everybody needs that motivation. When I go to Evolve, I'm surrounded by some of the greatest martial artists in the world, right? Like I see what they're capable of, and those guys push me to be better, rather than go out and, like, what is it now? It's 5:30 here on a Friday night. I could be at, a bar with my friends, but no, I'm online talking to you about motivation and mental fortitude and toughness and accomplishing goals. So it's all about those types of decisions that we make that can really lead to incredible things.
Yeah. No, honestly, thank you so much, Mitch. I really appreciate you. For the listeners as well, guys, I'll leave all of Mitch's social media down below. Go and check him out. You will definitely hear his voice again on One Championships, and I hope to see you out there again, fighting like we mentioned earlier. So thank you so much, Mitch. I really appreciate your time, honestly.
My pleasure, Murat. Best of luck with the podcast, and I can't make sure you and all your fans and followers and friends tune in to 160 and 1 on Prime Video. Dude, Marias versus Johnson 2 is going to be wild. I can't wait. It's must-watch TV.
Yeah, I can't wait. Demetrius Johnson is one of my favorite fighters. When he was in the UFC, and even when he came over to One and he fought Rod Tang, that was incredible. Like, I can't wait to watch him again for sure.
Rod Tang's on the card too. Rod Tang's taking on Savas Michael. It's going to be a good one. So that's what I'm leaning on. Like the excitement of all these events and fights is going to keep me going. So make sure you tune in.
No, thank you, Mitch.